My father converted our family from Judaism to Catholicism, and we went to church religiously. My parents reinvented the war within the confines of our family by dividing it into two conflicting sides. Now, this division was clearly visible at the dinner table, with my father. Remember with the salt and pepper shakers in his breast pocket? My eldest sister, Magdalena, who later grew up to be an eye surgeon, just like my father. She would make this noise all during dinner. And if someone told her to stop, my father would hit them and they wouldn't have salt and pepper privileges for a couple of weeks. And me, on one side of the table. I would kick my little brother Joseph repeatedly until he complained, and then my dad would accuse him of making it up. And directly across from me on the other side of the table is where my brother Joey sat. Joey is by far the most gifted of all of us, having composed musical sonatas on the piano at the age of 3. But Joey frequently left the table because he couldn't handle the tension, claiming nausea, and would lock himself up in the bathroom, where he would eat on the toilet. But during happier times, Joey played the piano non-stop, and when he wasn't playing piano, he talked a mile a minute. My mother said he was trying to outrace his stutter. And Joey kept a perfectly folded wet napkin at his side, which none of us were strictly allowed to touch. So my mother accused me of having a compulsion. Because I don't know why, but every now and then I just had to reach across the table and just touch Joey's napkin, just like right now. Francis, don't, Mama, Francis. I give out. Francis, Joseph, Francis, control your compulsion. But I only had my compulsion to do that when I was a little girl, when I was safely sitting on my papa's lap, cuddling against what Mama called Papa's Viennese pastry belly. Here comes Mama with dessert. Mama, those Christmas tree cookies smell delicious. Francis, they're not Christmas tree cookies. They're Hanukkah bushes. Liesel, please do not use Yiddish words. Bernie, this is so confusing, changing names all the time. Okay, I'll call them Christmas tree cookies. Yeah, and I also made a lovely eggnog-flavored challah. No, you see, that's not what this is making me with sugar. I meant an eggnog-flavored egg bread. Yeah. And just a piece of chocolate ham-taschen. Chocolate ham, Mama? Ugh, is it really chocolate ham? Nein, Francis, this is nicht ham. This is ham and taschen. Ham and taschen. Mama puts the ham and tushy down in front of Papa. Liesel, sweetheart, please, do not use Jewish names. We've discussed this. But sweetheart, it tastes scrumptious. Why don't you take another bite, Bernie, and then you will see. Ouch! Bernie! Oi! Did your mother not say, take another bite? Scrumptious Liesel. You will outdo them at the Christmas church bake sale. But may I suggest, make something Christmassy to appeal to everybody there. What about those gingerbread men, yeah, that the Gentiles are so crazy about? Ach, Bernie, I warn you. If you force me to make those goyish Christmas tree or cookies or the ridiculous gingerbread men, my gingerbread man would have to be circumcised. Liesel, who do you think you are talking like that? Philistina? Fair Liesel, why did you put in the eggnog? It tastes vergata. Ach, Bernie's delicious. Yeah, I spiked it with Manischewitz. Liesel, you are confusing the children. I'm confusing the children? Bernie, we need to give the children some of our traditions. Listen, what we need is to blend in. I heard some of the doctors at the hospital openly expressing anti-Semitic sentiments, but I don't want a repeat of what happened to us in Saskatchewan to happen to us again. But sweetheart, tell you what. Okay, we start having Shabbos meals again, but under the strict condition that you give all dishes English names. Nein, Bernie, no, we at least have to be able to be ourselves in our own home. Almost everyone that I met here in Ottawa who knows who we are simply because they guessed, or maybe because of a little slip-up, has been very kind to us, except for a few bad apples, and who cares about, listen, I forbid the children from using foreign words inside the home, so they do not use them outside the home. Bernie, this is Canada, not Europe, and besides, how can you think that people don't know who we are? Listen, stop worrying. Everyone thinks that we are German Catholic. With maybe a little Irish thrown in because of our last name, Sheridan. Irish? What that is Irish is a Hasidic moil. Irish. This whole thing is ridiculous. Bullshit. My mother is rolling in a grave. And besides, Bernie, it's too much pressure. You know, yesterday I had coffee with Sister Marie Therese, who teaches Joey piano at the convent. Well, it wasn't just coffee. She wanted to know where I was from. Then when she found out it was Germany, she wanted to know what my religion was when I lived there. She made me nervous. She gave me spielkes. Listen, did you tell her that we were Jewish? Nein, Bernie, of course not. I told her that we were Goyim. Listen, then what do you want from me, Bernie? It's too much pressure. Mary, stop playing with your food. Now, Mary is my sister Magdalena's identical twin sister and sits directly across the table from her. And she sneaks food from the table and hides it in her room. The food that she leaves on her plate, she makes into artistic sculpture. Just like the incredibly tall mountain she's making right now out of potato mush, which I'm sure she thinks is super artistic. So whatever you do, don't tell her that it isn't, because she's really sensitive. She always has a cold or allergies, and she's permanently congested. One time, Magdalena had accused Mary of attempting to stab her with a dinner knife. So Mary wasn't actually allowed to eat using a knife, and we weren't allowed to eat using our hands. It's kind of fun watching her try to eat chicken wings with a fork. The one time that Mary was allowed to use a dinner knife was when my father had invited another doctor to dinner and had insisted we all be on our best behavior. Well, during that meal, Joey stood up on top of the table and yelled, "There is no love in this family." At which point, our guest, the doctor, began to hiccup uncontrollably. And just when he was going to get up and leave the table, Mary stabbed Magdalena's hand with her dinner knife. Now, they, Mary, Joseph, and my mother, were all on one side of the family. And they didn't trust us, myself, my sister Magdalena, and my father, who were on the other side.